Just about to start live streaming. I'm working on my iPad and I am videoing this with my iPhone. And I've learned something interesting lately, and that is that YouTube doesn't want to let me live stream horizontally if I'm using my iPhone as the camera, and that is the only thing that I use. So this program that I'm using is set up the way it's set up. It's infinite zoom. Is I tend to be in a horizontal drawing mode with my iPad, which is different than some of the other programs I use. And so I'm just showing you that this is the infinite zoom program. I've got a lot of notes in the edges of things I need to do. This one I have to research the plants before I go any further with that one. And I'm just going to keep going out here to all the way to the beginning so that you get an idea of what this program does. And to clean up the stars on that one. And then I'm back to the beginning of this infinite zoom drawing program. And I will be drawing with my Apple Pencil. I'm wondering if there's a background noise happening for you. If you come on here and you hear a background noise, so there I am at the very beginning. If you come on here and you hear a background noise, please drop a comment. When I'm in online meetings at work, Teams meetings, and there's construction going on outside, which has been happening a lot lately, everybody tells me that they cannot hear the construction in the background, even though I can hear it. So if you can hear construction in the background, will you please leave me a comment so I know you can hear construction in the background? And I am going to start drawing soon. I see a couple people have joined. Thanks for joining me today. Don't feel obligated to leave a comment, but you're always welcome to. This is an ongoing drawing that I'm working on, and I'm using an infinite zoom program. And I'll just give you an overview of what this program can do. It's got very simple tools on the side, but the big thing about this program is that it allows you seemingly to infinitely zoom in and draw as you go and just keep making more scenes that you can detail out. I'm actually going to make a video of this, and it has to do with kind of the history of fashion a little bit, just sort of a historical timeline and what I'm able to glean from the timeline as far as what people wore. And I think the farther I get up the timeline, closer to where we are now, the more interesting the fashion is going to get. And as you can see, this one got quite intricate because I'm doing Freya I'm actually doing it in a little bit of a Celtic style because the Celtic and the Norse art is really tied. And so when I make the video, I'm going to go into detail about all of this. And then we're getting down to this. So this drawing, before I leave this one, I worked on this drawing probably 9 hours yesterday. I think I was on this for about 9 hours. And then I decided, oh, let me go a little bit further. And I roughed out this one, although it's actually getting pretty finished, but I still have a lot to do with the birds and all of that. I roughed this one out in a couple hours, and then I probably spent an hour last night on this one, and that's as far as I've gone. And so I will be deciding where I am going to work. Let's see here. What do I need to do? Change the flower tunic overlap. Let me do that right now. And I'll talk a little bit about the tools. So first of all, I've been using this tool right here. That's a little hand. Whoops. Can you see what I'm pointing to? I better go up a little bit so you can see all the tools. I'll just show you all the tools right now. Let me just go in there a little bit closer and then I'll start drawing. Interessante. Okay, so here's my tools. There's 3 different lines at the top, and I just set them up for thicknesses: fat, medium, and thin. I rarely ever go all the way over here to the end because it gets super thin. Then here's the eraser. Here's the layers. Here's the bookmarks, which is I can control these bookmarks, but I can take you to where I started drawing, which was a drawing that didn't even make the cut. And I can take you to the last painted, which is these notes that I actually put on here. And I can go to the start with the Neolithic, or I can go to the Bronze Age Minoan. I can go to the Mayan dignitary. So that's where I want to work, so I'll just stay there. And then next are colors. It's nice to have 2 colors so you can work back and forth. Here's an eyedropper so you can choose a color. Obviously, I've just got black and white right now, so you can't really see that too well. Oops, that's my home button. I didn't actually mean to do that. This is where I'm at. And then this is a grid button that I have yet to figure out how that could possibly help anything. But I guess if you're trying to draw architectural stuff, it's nice to have a grid. And then I'm just going to turn that off. And then there's the hand button, or if I change it, I can draw with my finger or I can move with my finger. So you don't have to have a stylus if you want to try this out. But I move with the finger because I have a stylus, a pencil. And then I can export it as an image, or I can record a video, or I can export this actual file and people can explore it. I haven't done that yet, but I know some of the other infinite zoom artists have done that. I'm just a little bit of a beginner at this, but although I've been doing these quite a bit and I'm getting more comfortable with the lack of tools. Then I have a back button and a forward button, which I've already moved it out of the way so you can't see that. Let me go up just a little bit so you can see a little bit more of my screen as I draw. Okay, that was a little dull. Going over the tools is a little bit dull. So we're going to clean up this area. Right now, I've got this big flower around the Mayan dignitary, but I just went ahead and incorporated it into the clothing, and that I don't like that. So I'm going to make a definite change right there. So let me go here. I think the first thing I need to do is erase a few lines here. Oh, I got to get on the right layer. This is the layer I want to be on, I think. Oh, interesting. Maybe it's on this layer. Interesting. Maybe I just didn't, there we go. I just didn't have it. I didn't have it actually selected. I thought I did. So we're just going to start cleaning up. And I'll go back and forth between my fine pencil and the eraser to get things looking nice close up. And I'll probably stop talking. Once I get in the zone, I kind of stop talking. But I do try and remember to check the comments. Thanks everybody for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And I think I'm going to break this with, oops, go back to my small pencil. I was going to say, flowers back there, clothing is up here. And I think we're just going to go ahead and do a kind of a triangle pattern. Oops. As you can see, there's no guides, there's no rulers, there's no copy paste. It's very limited tools. And my iPad feels a little slippery to me today. I just cleaned it and I'm like, oh, it's actually more slippery than it was yesterday before I cleaned it. This deserves a little cleanup in here. Ah, interesting. This one goes way over here and this one does not. So let's make that match. Let's make this skirt come out farther. Oops. And just to be consistent, we'll bring this one in a little bit. It's a lot of back and forth with the eraser and the pencil with this program, because there's no push-pull, there's no, there's just limited tools, which is okay. And so for anybody who's joined me, okay, so I've got to come back in here and work on these birds. This is going to be the next drawing I work on, which is a Tang Dynasty woman riding a horse. And it was very common, actually, and they did not ride side saddle in Chinese equestrian history. That was a European thing. So they rode astride, and they often traveled by horseback. So, but I started out looking at a horse that I think was kind of a war horse, and it had this thing on its mane. It's sort of a, I think, protective gear. And I realized, when the women and children are traveling on horseback, the horses were decked out completely differently. They didn't have all the protective gear on them. So I've tried to adjust that. I feel also, because I know horses and bridles, that this mouth is not deep enough, and so that's where the bit would go through right there. And I know it would be more up here, so I'm probably going to change that. This was just an hour I spent last night drawing this, so it's not perfect. It's got work, and I'm going to make a note there to fix bit. And then as we move out, change the flower tunic overlap. Okay, I just did that, so I'm going to erase that. What layer is that on? Let's see. There it is. So that one is done. As far as fixing errors, I have to color it yet. And I was thinking as I was doing this, oh, wouldn't it be cool to actually have a coloring book, and I can just take a quick screenshot of these before I color them in, and then they would become part of a coloring book, which I'm kind of thinking that might be a fun idea, to eventually make a coloring book of whatever infinite zoom I'm doing. Okay, so then this one, I need to detail out the cat. Whoops, I have a whole bunch of notes here. Texture, skirt bottom, finish the cat hair, do the dragon teeth and the border. Okay. So let's do the dragon teeth. I'm going to do the dragon teeth. With make sure I'm on the right layer. I am. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm putting a little shape on the top of these. So it feels more like it's, I'm gonna have to go back and touch up these edges. It's always the back and forth, like I said. I'm just gonna double check that I don't have any comments. I'm not seeing any, and I think they're turned on. Just double checking. Okay, I don't want to leave anybody out. I was at the optometrist the other day because I thought I was at risk of having a detached retina. I did not have a detached retina, thank goodness. But I did learn, so I then followed up by just doing my yearly exam. And because if anybody's interested in using these kinds of tools, I mentioned that my eyes had gotten worse this year, and I'm like, I'm doing a ton of work on a computer, a screen, an iPad, actually, drawing for hours and hours at a time. And then I also work on a computer on my day job, which is a PC. It's a PC, and sometimes it's a laptop. So I had an anti-glare on my current glasses, and they said I could add this blue light filter, and it will change the colors I see slightly, but not so much that it would probably change how I draw or select colors. So I'm going to get that blue light filter on my eyes. And then the other thing my optometrist said was that sorry, I talk slow when I'm drawing. He suggested that I stop and rest my eyes way more often than I'm doing. He said what happens when your eyes get fatigued, because I notice my eyes get fatigued pretty easy in the evening. And he's like, what happens if your eyes are fatigued, it usually means that there's not enough tears in them. They get dried out. And then you stare harder or you look closer in order to make up for the fact that your eyes actually, you just need to close your eyelids and let some you let your body do what it's supposed to do. You have to blink. He said blink more often, take rests and close your eyes more often, and it'll help with the fatigue. I thought that was a great tip for artists who work on screens, or anybody who works on screens a lot. Oops. Let me go back to my pencil. I didn't quite get it. There. Now I've got the pencil. Okay. Whoops. We got a little trouble going on here. I'm okay with a little bit of lumpiness on the teeth. It's just those kind of weird jagged lines that don't really work. And then this, I'm okay with showing a little bit of sort of the lip. That one goes a little bit high though, so I'm gonna take that down. Oh, all right. Fixing. Okay, so now what I can do, I want to get rid of some of that right there. Now I am going to use my eraser. I'm going to be going back and forth here a little bit. I'm going to make that a lot narrower. Nope. Trying to like make just a highlight. I mean, mouths are wet, and so I want it to feel like there is a little bit of light reflecting on the edge of his mouth. But I also want it to look fairly like it belongs there, fairly natural. So I kind of, this doesn't look natural to me. And not that anybody's ever going to look at my drawing this close, but kind of doing each of these drawings as if I could put them in a book. You know, I want them to be that quality. Not that this is going to be a book, but that's my standard for my drawing. Go back to my pencil. I guess I was on my pencil. Maybe clean this up a little bit. Well, I just added a whoop-de-whoop instead of taking one away. Let's quick check the comments. Okay. I'm going to press a button that I'm not sure what it's going to do. Oh, it's to share this. That's okay. I don't need to do that right now. I'm going to look at my comment section. Okay. All right, so here we are. I did the dragon's teeth. Let me just cross that one off. I don't know what I'm going to do for a border yet. Skirt bottom. Texture the skirt bottom. Okay, so I textured the top of the skirt, and I didn't want to carry texture into where the battle swines kind of razorback thing is there. So how am I going to do this? Maybe what I'll do is I'm going to add a kind of a border of like what might be flowers or something at the bottom. I kind of want to make it Celtic, so I might use that pattern right there. And kind of a, let's see here, how do I want to do this? Ooh, there we go. That's a cool idea. So basically, okay, that didn't really work. So the problem with zooming in and out is it changes it in this program, which doesn't happen in other programs. It automatically changes the size of your line. So I'm not choosing a different line, but if you look at that line and that line, they're slightly different. And if I go here now, and let's say I decide, look at that, right? And if I zoom out, it's way thinner. I didn't change the line, the program does it. So that's an interesting thing to know about this program. I'm going to clean this. I'm going to clean up as I go on this one because and that I'll get rid of because I want my lines to be fairly consistent in size. So we'll go back. I'm at kind of where I started, so hopefully okay, so I've got some weird stuff going on here with the edge. So that means if I'm going to do it there, I have to do it here, is to keep that edge going. Let me just clean that up a little bit. Okay, that feels better. It doesn't feel so blank at the bottom. And then I might actually do a little bit more. Excuse me. Okay. Did that. Cat hair. I'm going to go with a fine here. We're going to make it a little finer than that. Okay, so now we're getting into the part of drawing that's a bit meditative. So this cat is, because this is Freya, a Norse goddess who I've drawn before. I've done a couple videos about her. The other Freya looked quite a bit different than this one does. Just checking my comments. Oh, hi, Joel. Thumbs up. Thank you, Joel. Thanks for stopping by. That was my cousin. Appreciate the thumbs up. Anyway, Freya had 2 cats that pulled her chariot. She was a fantastic creature with kind of a combination of being a goddess of love and fertility and a goddess of, she was a bit of a war goddess too. Very interesting character. I have a whole thing about, I was raised in a Norwegian town and how the Norse mythology was presented to me as a kid is so different than how it really is. It's a little bit not kid-friendly. So I think that's why it was changed for me. Anyway, I did a whole video about that. You can find that Norse mythology video in my video section. I think you'll find one of me drawing Freya live, but that's not the video that gives you the whole history of Freya and what I learned about her. I draw in both of them, but one of them's way more historical. I love researching for drawings, if you hadn't learned that about me. So checking the comments again. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. And I appreciate that you're looking at my screen with it at an angle like that. There is a reason for this. This program I'm using is oriented horizontally. It does not shift to, it doesn't shift. Like if I move my computer, it doesn't flip. And so it's always oriented horizontally. But YouTube, when I go live with my phone, YouTube only wants to allow me to go vertically. So that's a little bit of a problem. And this is how I've solved it. It's like, well, I want to make it viewer friendly. So you're not looking at me drawing completely sideways. The image makes sense, in other words. But I can actually, so if I go like this and just do it this way, I will end up, trust me, I will end up drawing over here or drawing over here off screen, and it'll look like nothing's going on. This is a better solution for me to make sure that I am drawing in the screen. So when you are on your iPhone and you go live, there's a lot of settings that you can do. I mean, you can do the basics, the description, a title, a thumbnail, all that. But then there's also these settings where you can mute. You can like have no sound if you want to do a live that has no sound. And you can, it's supposedly you can arrange horizontal or vertical. But every time that I arrange it horizontally, it won't let me start my live. It says you have to change I have to change my orientation. And I'm like, which is really unfortunate. If you know how to overcome that, please leave me a comment. And I mean, I'm going to go searching for it, but the last time I searched for it, nobody had a solution. Maybe I used the wrong keywords when I was searching. I'm going to get up here where you can see what I'm doing. Sometimes I go off screen without realizing. So this is just sort of the calming side of drawing, or watching someone draw for that matter. A little trick I've learned with this program is when you know you're going to do an overall texture like this and you're going to run into a lot of edges, you can see what happened right there. I went over the big black line, but that rarely happens when you have a thick black line like that. Like all of these lines that I've ran into that have just been buried in the thickness of that other line. If I had made that a thin line, it would be a lot harder. I would be going back and doing tons of cleanup. So I've just learned, because of this kind of a program, it's easier to have a thick line sometimes. If it looks right, it has to look right. If it doesn't look right, you can use a thick line to start and then just do one sweep to clean it up. You can do the same thing with a thin line, but then a lot of times you have to redraw the thin line. Anyway, you just start to notice what works really easily in this program. I keep going off screen, and what doesn't. There is, thank goodness, a back button and an eraser that works really good on this program. I've tried several programs, and there's another program that's got a little more options. I think it's, let me think about this. Which one is it? Endless Paper? Is it Endless Paper? I think it's Endless Paper. And they've got a super tutorial help kind of a setup, but they don't have a good eraser. It's like the worst eraser I've ever experienced in any graphic art program, any digital drawing program. And I'm not the only one that's complained about it. And they're like, just use the other color. And it's like, no, that doesn't work with layers. You can't, if I used white here to clean these edges up instead of an eraser, then I would have a white blob along the edge of all my black. And I don't want a white blob, because when I color this in, I'm going to go to a layer behind here. For instance, let me just do it right now. Layer 5. What color are we going to make this? Let's make this a nice gray. I'm just going to go with a gray for right now. And I'm going to use a fat line. And I'm just going to color in this guy. So if I had used white to erase a white paintbrush instead of an actual eraser, I'd have a bunch of white. Let me just do it for you. Let me just show you. Let me go back here. And let's say I want to go here. Am I on? Okay, am I on the right layer? I'm on the right layer. I'm on my drawing layer right there. And let's say I want to clean this up right here. So I'm going to use a white. Looks just like the eraser, right? Now this program doesn't tell you to do this, by the way. This is the other program that I rejected. I did some drawings in it and I kind of loved the program with the exception of the eraser. And so here we go with, okay, that looks as if I erased. But now let's go and add the color that I was doing a minute ago. I'm going to go to the layer below. I'm going to add the color because I don't want to draw color around every one of these lines I just drew, obviously. I just want to go behind and I'm going to get over here and see what happens. Oh my, doesn't that look sloppy right at the edge? Right there, I've got all sorts of white paint that I was using as an eraser. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to actually just hit my back, and the black's going to reappear when I'm all the way back. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go back to drawing. Anyway, that is why I chose the Endless Canvas program, which when it gets loaded on your phone, by the way, it will say infinite zoom, which is a little frustrating. It's like, well, how do I tell people what to get, infinite zoom or endless canvas? Because that's confusing that you don't have a consistent way of referring to your program. My line's got a little bit thinner there. Did you notice that? I don't like that last line right there. Did you hear the guys outside yelling 49 3/8? They're redoing the siding on my condo building. Okay, we'll just let those be a little bit different. So here we have a tail coming around. We have a foot down here. So I know that this is gonna go like this right here. And then this is the leg. So I think I'm gonna do that first. And I'm just going to describe to myself here a little bit how I want these lines to go. Okay, well, that last one is a little bit sloppy. Okay, so since we are just working on this right now, I am going to turn my, it's going to help me get the right angle. Back. Don't cover up a mistake with another line. Use the back button. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. Anyone who does enjoy watching this, please hit the like button and the subscribe button. It will help the algorithm. And I would like to have genuine subscribers that are interested in learning about drawing or interested in just sort of the Saturday morning calm drawing session where you don't have to think about the news, you don't have to think about work, or maybe you do, but you have sort of a calm thing going in the background. You can always mute me. I won't be offended, especially when I'm drawing a lot. That makes a lot of sense. Just I can't tell if you mute me, by the way. Of course, you probably already knew that, but I've had people suggest that I just play music in the background and draw on Saturdays. And I actually tried it a few times, but I get copyright strikes. And if you get too many copyright strikes, they'll shut your channel down. So I don't do that anymore. I don't want to make any artists, musical artists, upset with me. And YouTube is really great about keeping an eye on that. Thank you, YouTube. It didn't work out great for me, but it's okay. I respect the right of artists to not have their music used without being paid for it or... Okay, let's look at that. That's looking pretty good. So now I'm going to come in with a completely different direction with the hair on the tail. I do have to stop and close my eyes every once in a while so I don't get eye fatigue. Look out the window. You know, looking out the window actually makes you blink right away because your eyes are adjusting to the change in light. And blinking is very healthy for your eyes. So says my optometrist when we were talking about eye fatigue. Can you hear the nail gun outside? As soon as I get to the end of this tail, I am going to take you on a tour of the entire drawing. If you've joined me, this is an infinite zoom drawing program, and the kind of crazy lack of tools that you get with it is all made up for by the fact that it is an infinite zoom tool. And I'll show you what that means in a minute. Okay. I will move this out a little bit. And show you. I'm going to look at what you're seeing so that I make sure I do a fairly good job of this. Okay, we're just going to go this way. And I'm going to go to my bookmarks and I'm going to go to the origin of this, which was a drawing that I kind of love, but, and actually, where did I go with that? Here, this is the infinite zoom idea. I didn't finish this one. It just wasn't, it wasn't working the way I wanted it to. It wasn't the right order, historical order. So let me go back to my origin because I'll show you what I did. This is the origin of where I started, but, oh, here's my notes. Messy, messy notes. Here is the start of my infinite zoom drawing. Now, what I have to do to finish on this one is finish. These look like sheep right now. They're supposed to be wolves. Totally have to change that and fix that. No problem. That'll come in the future. But as you, this is the beauty of the program. As you zoom in, you can just keep going and going. And so we're going to the Minoan character that I've done here. I have a lot of cleanup to do on this one. I'm going to make a video. I'm going to talk about the clothing. I'm also going to talk about, like, this is a very low cut top, but I'm going to talk about why that's a low cut top. It's actually not historically accurate. There would not be a top there if I was being historically accurate. So let's move in here to the next one, which is Egyptian. I have a lot of research to do on the background and the colors. She has a little crystal ball she's holding that's looking forward to the Greek period. And there was a lot of pottery in the Greek period that was black with gold. And I'm calling it gold, but there was a different name for it. I'll talk about that when I finally make the video, which is a ways out. I have so much drawing to do. And I always like to kind of do this fun like spiral in to find the next drawing. And there we have it. This is a Norse goddess, Freya, done with a bit of a Norse Celtic feel. And we have to go over here to the little dragonfly's butt to get to the next drawing, which takes us across the globe to a Mayan dignitary. And then we are going to again cross the globe and go to a Tang Dynasty woman riding a horse. And I have a lot more things planned. So that's how the infinite zoom works. And if I go to my timeline list, I keep changing and adjusting it, and I'm crossing things off. Okay, I realized that I want to do a Madonna somewhere here. How can you do the history of women's fashion and art and clothing without including a Madonna? There's so many images of a Madonna. But I would like, I actually, out of all the Madonna images, I love the Mexican Madonna. But that Mexican Madonna didn't come into being until about 1400 to 1600. So I moved it down here. Now I've done the Freya Norse goddess with a medieval dragon, and so I might not do that one because I think I've got it there. I might do something else. So in fact, what I'm doing is I think I didn't write this down though. I'm gonna put in the one I just did, which is the Tang, and I'm probably spelling this wrong, Tang Dynasty. I know I'm spelling all of this wrong. That's not a Y. Dynasty. And I think that's going to go in. It really should have gone in. I think the Tang Dynasty should have gone in up here, like maybe equal. with Freya. I don't know. I have to research that a little bit. So my timeline has got a little bit of work. I have to do a little bit of work on that. And then Mexican Madonna. Okay, so I wanted to do Elizabethan because I thought the clothes were amazing there. The Renaissance has got beautiful stuff. There's this African queen, Amina, but again, she didn't come into it until 1500, 1600. And so there's a lot of imagery that I can borrow from or learn from about that style. And then there's also a Mullinetan Spanish, which, I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing my own notes right. And I have to find out where that comes into date-wise. I think it's up here somewhere in the after the Renaissance. So that's the plan. Finish the wolves here. And then I will not finish the wolves today. That's going to take some thought and research. I can do things like clean up the stars. I don't know what I'm going to do down here in the earth below this Minoan women. Let's go in here. What could I do on this one? I have to do more research on that one. Or I could finish the cat really quick. Let me do that. Let me finish this cat and get that bit done. It won't take long. I just finished a cat, so I'm going to try and not do too many more cats. I tend to do a lot of cats. Okay, what layer do I need to be on for this one? This layer right here. Thank you. There we go. So this one, I definitely am varying the line purposefully. Now I could go back out and I'll get a few of those thicker lines. Go out a little farther, they'll get a lot thicker. Go in, get those thinner lines without changing the size of my pencil. The program's automatically changing that for me. Sometimes you just have to slow down and get the line exactly. With texturing, I kind of want to just keep moving. I don't like slowing down. It's necessary though. Interesting, I got a little of the background showing through there. Clean that up later. Maybe I should clean it up right now. What layer is the background on? Background's on this layer right here, because I've got a couple of them. Let me take my eyedropper. Did it switch to the background? Yes, it did. Let's go to a thick. Do I have any more blue? This is kind of interesting here. Did I mean to do? I think I did. That white is on purpose. A little bit of cleanup to do here. Let's do it. Let's do it. And then this is actually white paint here. So it's on a layer below the black. That's why I can just do this and it's not covering up the black. Clean up the edges. Hmm. Not sure I like how this all turned out down here. I may end up changing that a little bit. We need some thicker lines here and there. Thanks for joining me. Working on an infinite zoom drawing. I'm going to go ahead and erase this note. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Because I finished the texture on the cat that I wanted to finish. There's still a lot to do on this drawing. I'm not going to do it today. I've got a lot of research to do first. And this Minoan really needs the stars cleaned up. So I could do a little bit of that. They tend to get smaller when I clean them up. Cleaned that one up yesterday. Okay, so the ones that are close to her, not this one. This one needs cleanup. The ones that are far out all need cleanup, but we won't do that today. So that note stays there. And then we go out to the beginning, which is the Neolithic, I think it's Neolithic. Yeah, Neolithic woman. And I've got some goats to sorry, they look like goats. I need some wolves here. So I think wolves were one of the first animals that we created a relationship with. So this is infinite zoom. I'll just finish out by taking you all the way in to what I worked on last night. We passed the Bronze Age Minoan. Now we're into the Egyptian, and the Egyptian is looking forward to the Greek, and the Greek is looking forward to the start of the Middle Ages, but I realized that I wanted to stop staying on sort of that Euro track. I don't want to start on the Euro track yet, so I went across the globe over to the Mayan culture, and there's a Mayan dignitary. And then I'm going to have a beautiful border on this one, but it will zoom in to a Tang Dynasty woman riding a horse. And that's where I've ended at this point. And so I think what I'm going to do on this drawing, face change, main backdrop, and fix the bit. So I have a few things to do on this drawing. But the day is moving on here, so I think I will end my session here. And just to let you know, I will publish this. So if you missed it and you want to learn more about endless zoom, infinite drawing, and how I created this, like and follow me if you would be so inclined to do so. And I will teach you everything I know for free. I don't charge anything for what I'm doing. But always looking for more subscribers. Thanks so much for stopping by, and I will see you on the next one.